You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio. Welcome, listeners, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on BQN and the Fandom Podcast Network. I am your host, Amy Nelson, and with me today are Mark White and, listeners, a very special guest host, Captain Jeremiah, host of Captain's Couch, which is a Voyager podcast here on BQN. Hello, Mark. Hi. How are you doing?
Oh, Amy, life is good. Really, no complaints. Craziness of the holidays, but I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but everything's paused, so I don't have to worry about the holidays because I can't spend any money. And I can't put up any tree. And so we're starting to pack up all of our stuff in preparation for hopefully moving soon. Hopefully. It's still up in the air, but yeah, it's looking pretty likely. So we're just getting ready. I'm very excited.
That is very good news. It makes Christmas easy when you're getting a huge life event such as a house.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We can't find a bow big enough, though. That's the problem.
Oh my gosh. Just imagine it. And Captain Jeremiah, welcome to All Good Things.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Mark. It's good to be here. As you guys are well aware, I have been rather reclusive in the podcast world for a little longer than expected. So thanks for pulling me back in.
Yes. Well, today we really wanted you because what we are discussing goes into your realm quite a bit. So excited to get there. But first...
Sir, wonderful. A feeling of great joy and gratitude. Great joy and gratitude.
So in this segment, we are just going to say what has brought us great joy and gratitude in the world of Trek this past week. And I would like to start off because I had a fabulous week visiting a wonderful Trek friend and future host of Galaxy Class. I went out to visit Stephen King. And we went to North Carolina. So I'm just walking around Durham, the middle of nowhere, North Carolina. And there is a poster of William Shatner in a hearing aid little office. I was like, I walked by and I'm like, is that William Shatner? What is he doing? And so I actually had to stop and read the poster. I was like, okay. All of a sudden, there he was hanging out with me in North Carolina. And my second, while I was there in North Carolina, Trek-related thing, I went to, you guys, this amazing, it's called the Mint Museum in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they had this display that was like a white, not quite a wedding dress, but a white gown. And it looks like it's being transported. Like, seriously, it's this installment from ceiling to floor, and it looks like and the name of the art is called Transporter. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Trek again on my vacation. Now, listeners, I'm going to post these two images in our BQN Collective, which is our Facebook group. So go ahead and take a look there and see what I'm talking about.
I just thought you would have brought that home with you.
Yeah, I don't know if that art was for sale. It was in a museum.
Oh, Well, I mean, you could have stole it, I guess.
Oh, yeah. If I had a transporter, maybe.
You need a Ferengi. You need a Ferengi accomplice.
You have one right here.
You got the lobes for it, Jeremiah.
I do. Yep. There's a Voyager prop sitting in a storefront out in Burbank that I have gone in several times and tried everything I could aside from stealing it in order to get them to sell it to me.
Mm.
And they won't.
Oh.
And it's infuriating because it's actually the same company that I acquired the couch from. And
Oh.
it is from the same set. And I have proven to them that I have bought from them before, and that it is a companion piece to the couch, and that it rightfully belongs in my collection.
Rightfully so, yes.
Yes. And so it's come to the point now where I have made jokes about, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to steal it, which I'm not going to steal, listeners. It's just...
But if it does goes missing.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of Voyager-related props, if it goes missing, I'm going to be the prime suspect, regardless of if I'm innocent or not. But Amy, it sounds like the dress, though. I mean, if you ever decided to get married, do you have an idea now of the perfect wedding gown?
You won't say that when you see, because I mean, it's like shredded. I mean, it looks like it's in midstream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amy, we already talked about this. If you are getting married, you're gonna have a traditional Beta Z wedding.
Yeah, that's right. So who needs a dress?
Who needs a dress?
So, Mark, what would if now we're on that subject, what would your attire be or ceremony?
Oh, wedding attire?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I don't, I have been engaged for a while, but that is actually, we've been more focused on buying a house than we have been wedding planning. I haven't really given it much thought. So one of our listeners, Johnny Mendoza, posts some really provocative outfits sometimes. And my thought would be something from his collection, I think would be a really good wedding attire for the backyard. I don't know, maybe something with a harness. I don't know. I think that'd be very appropriate.
See, I already have mine planned out. At STLV with my true family and friends, Kate presiding over the ceremony, my side in full Voyager dress uniform, and the processional, the First Contact overture, followed by the exit of the ceremony to the end credits of First Contact.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Yes.
All I'll have to do is convince somebody to be stupid enough, to.
Oh no. Lucky enough. My goodness.
You know that one, I guess it was like a present that was sent over by Deanna's mother, and it was like the face that was in a box.
Oh, Armin Shimmerman was that box.
Yeah. Well, I would have maybe the person presiding over the ceremony just be a head in a box, which again goes back to that comment about Johnny's clothing. I don't know. I have like this BDSM, I guess, wedding planned.
So Klingon.
Yeah, I guess. In the backyard.
Yeah.
For all the neighbors to see and enjoy.
The way I look at it is it, if they're going to look, that's their problem, not yours.
Mm.
One would hope we're still worth looking at.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So, Mark, do you have a great joy and gratitude you'd like to share with us?
I, as well as Captain Jeremiah, have kind of been on a little Trek hiatus. I haven't been watching like a ton of it, but I have seen For All Mankind. And For All Mankind, as if listeners haven't watched or haven't been watching it, what are you doing? Because it is Trek adjacent. A whole bunch of Trek creatives work on this. Trek actors have directed episodes. Yeah, so it's Trek adjacent, and it's really good. For All Mankind on Apple TV Plus, worth checking out.
Does that
and
require...
my co-host on Cinema Z was just in a recent episode, so there's that.
Does that require a subscription?
Yes.
And see, that's the last thing I want is another freaking subscription.
Oh, I know. I did hear someone very intelligent, which I'm going to be doing for next year because I have to finish out my subscriptions currently. But then they cancel, and then once shows start building up, then they'll get it for like 3 months, watch all the shows, and then at that time they will let go of another subscription. So they're just doing a replacing system, a substitute.
See, and I was going to get rid of Netflix because there's just nothing there anymore, nothing of interest, until they bought Prodigy.
Everything's there. Yeah.
And now I'm like, well, now I can never get rid of Netflix because I cannot be part of the any contributing factor that may hurt the Prodigy numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So
it would help the Prodigy numbers, though, if you subscribe to Netflix, binge the crap out of Prodigy, and then drop it. So then they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's only watching this one thing.
Well, see, I
better keep it."
That once Prodigy drops on Christmas Day, it doesn't like during the day through work day. Since I work from home, I'm just going to have the TV turned on to Netflix and let Prodigy play all day long, every day, and that's all I'm going to use Netflix for anymore. Is just to constantly play Prodigy on repeat.
Now, on Christmas Day, they're dropping season 1, which we already own.
But still, I recommend everybody watch it, get the numbers up. Doesn't matter if you have it on DVD or Blu-ray or digital from when it was on Amazon, but watch it on Netflix, get the numbers up, let them know that we want more Prodigy. I mean, we're already getting season 2, but let's drive the numbers insane for season 1.
Yes.
Jeremiah, do you have a great joy and gratitude?
Well, speaking of Prodigy, I know it's a little over a week now. It's been 10 days today that it dropped. Over Thanksgiving, I was asked by my friend Aaron Watke, executive producer of Star Trek Prodigy, if I would do a stop motion animation video to promote the show being bought by Netflix. Granted, this was nothing official. It was, there's no sanction by Netflix or secret hideout to do it, no, nothing like that. But it was a great honor and privileged to be asked by one of the show's creatives to do something related to their show and to have him support it across all social media platforms, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, on Blue Sky. He immediately followed me on all of those platforms where we weren't already following each other. Spread it around, got a massive amount of response from it, which I honestly wasn't expecting. And the Screen Rant article within hours of the video dropping, being featured all over social media again, was just astounding. And it feels like it was a great step forward to reaching my ultimate goal of being within this universe creatively.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Jeremiah, that is such a great opportunity and good exposure. And I mean, listeners, if you haven't seen any of his stop motions, there's so amazing with the Voyager and just so much time and effort, and it's so well done.
Thank you, Amy. I tell you, this one I put so much love and energy into. I have never worked so hard in post-production on anything. I mean, there are so many cuts of that video, so many variations, different dialogue over the action, just to see what fit, what didn't fit, where we could improve. My good friend of mine, James Amy, over in Scotland, shout out to Trek Central, which he's an affiliate for. He was instrumental in this. He pushed me to deliver my absolute best work. Gave me notes back, let's try this, try that, try cutting here, just things that I wasn't seeing from being so focused on it. I thought I had it. And then he gave me that fresh perspective and just kept pushing it, just every little inch to get me to produce my absolute best work. And Aaron's reaction to it was phenomenal when I showed him.
So what was the time frame from when Aaron asked you to when it went viral, basically?
Thanksgiving night. And what day was that? Was that the 28th of November? No, sorry, I'm looking at December on the calendar here. That was 23rd of December.
Yeah.
And I began working on it in earnest the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Is when I really started. I spent the remainder of the 23rd and the 24th thinking about what I wanted to do, and actually began shooting on the 25th. And so it took from the 25th until the evening of the 30th to finish it, to drop on the 1st.
Well, and I think you're selling yourself short, because thinking about it is part of the process. So you were asked on the 23rd, and I know you were thinking, so that I want included in the time, because to come up with the story that you did,
Which also required rewatching Prodigy, this first season of Prodigy, I had to research. It was even more labor intensive than researching for podcasts, and just watching the episode and making notes. Like, I had to get the time stamps down in order to know where that audio was, so I could pull it from the source material.
Right.
And then it was, getting the audio and then running it through a isolation software in order to isolate just the vocals, to get rid of the sound effects and the background music, in order to lay it into my sound effects and background music. And we are all editors here with our own respective shows. We all know the labor intensity of that.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that, and then adding the element of mixing into it. If you watch the video and you really pay attention to it, you've got the ambient background noise of the ship, that hum that's always there, the score, sound effects, and the vocal dialogue. I had to learn on the fly how to mix all of that.
Right.
So it actually sounded like a produced episode of Star Trek, where all the elements work together. It was a lot of fun. I've never done, like I said, that amount of labor intensive post-production before.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well,
Sorry that I just went on a ramble there.
This is so interesting. So thank you for, going in depth with me.
You're welcome. It was unofficial, but it honestly felt like producing Star Trek. Like, I wrote it, I shot it, I edited it. It was like I made my own Star Trek.
Yeah. Very good. Well, let's get to today's discussion, because we are going back to our evolution of a species. This is part 2, and we're going to discuss the Q Continuum. And that is a, quote, simple name for a complicated being, as Q told Jack Crusher in Picard. Now, we previously covered the Andorians and the Ainars, their relationship there. So I just wanted to know, what do you think of Q? When, people say Q, well, that's just a letter in the alphabet, as we know. Do you think of specifically John Delancey, or do you think of all of the Q? Do you think of the Q Continuum?
That's a loaded question, Amy.
Yeah.
One thing I think about Q is, from a non-universe perspective, is the impact he's had on pop culture for as little as the character has been utilized from Next Gen through Picard. And really, he features in all 24th, 25th century shows. And I have to say that you can't say all Star Trek through Picard because of the backwards in time, and you know what I'm saying. But if he was in every series except for Enterprise and then Picard. So the golden era, except Enterprise, and then he shows back up in Picard again, and even Lower Decks.
Right.
But he's been so underutilized, but he makes such a huge impact across the universe and spans fandom, because he even is mentioned in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I don't remember what season or what episode, but Buffy mentions Q, and she's like, no, Q from James Bond, not Star Trek.
Jeremiah, there's a reason you're on here, and it's not just because you're cute.
Oh, well, thank you, Mark. But I think that, I guess going back to your question, what was your question again?
So do you think of Q as an individual, or do you think of it as a species, a continuum?
That's kind of like asking, do you recognize the Borg as a collective or an individual? I mean, immediately, of course, John Delancey's face comes to mind when you say Q, or somebody even says, "Oh, I was in Q." I'm like, "You were in John." Like, wow, that's kinky. As I immediately think of John Delancey, but at the same time, is the Q a whole, or are they individual? I think that's a
it's like the
big
Great
question.
Link, right?
Yes, I guess that's a great point. The drop becomes the ocean becomes the drop.
Yeah, for the changelings. Yeah, absolutely. That's where my mind goes.
That's a great comparison.
Yeah.
And I think I messed up the quote from the female changeling, but everybody knows what I'm referring to.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know the difference. I thought you were directly quoting.
Okay.
Whoops.
So, Mark, what do you think about the Q?
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with Jeremiah. I do feel like similar to the Great Link, where they are separate, but they're all one, also at the same time, with individual sort of thoughts and feelings and wants, but they're all sort of part of the same entity. And when I think of Q, though, I think of saucy John Delancey, and he is so saucy, and I love that about him. And I don't know, aside from like one, maybe two episodes of TNG where I think they were trying to push him into being like a villain, I never looked at the guy as a villain. He is a scoundrel, he is a rogue, but in the end, I feel like his intentions, for the most part, have always been, dare I say, altruistic. He's trying to help humanity because he likes humanity. Humanity for him is like a hamster cage. He's like, "Oh, these are my little hamsters over here. I want their lives to be cool. Here's a little wheel," and that's how he treats humanity. But I think that his heart's in the right place when it comes to humanity.
I'd agree, Mark. I've never considered Q to be a villain. He's a trickster, and regardless of what he has done, has caused peril for our characters. It was never. I don't think it was ever out of malice.
He's Loki.
Yeah, he's Loki. He's not Gul Dukat. He's not who thinks he's a hero.
Yeah,
in his own story.
But you gotta love Gul Dukat.
Oh yeah.
And the actor, what's the actor's name?
Mark Alimo.
Mark Alimo. He was a delicious villain. He played the character so well. Trek was just blessed to have him. He's played multiple characters throughout Trek, but he's a very good actor, and I just love seeing him on screen.
So one thing you were talking about, like how Q is and how we imagine and how delicious John Delancey plays him. And he has this relationship with the Enterprise D crew, and specifically Jean-Luc Picard, which I take issue with because his first initial intrigue was with Riker, because he gave Riker the powers to test him. And then halfway through, Q's now fascinated with Picard. But leave that aside. But that relationship with the Enterprise D sort of is what hindered and why there was only one episode of Q in Deep Space Nine, because Ira Steven Behr said that he didn't want to ruin that fabulous dynamic, that chemistry that Q and Picard had. And so he wasn't going to write any more Q episodes, just the one that we got there. I found that very interesting. And then to have Voyager pick back up on the Q.
I think we have Kate to thank for that. Because Kate and Delancey were friends prior to her being Janeway.
Right. Okay.
So I think that might have led to some of that. It's only speculation on my part, knowing about that prior relationship. And the fact that the two of them had such phenomenal chemistry on screen, I think led to Delancey's a few appearances on Voyager, is it was just enthralling. I personally love the chemistry between Kate and Delancey over Delancey and Stewart. Not that it's not great, but it's just, I think it's amplified between the two of them on Voyager. A whole different dynamic, a whole different game that Q was playing with a human. He's not playing the same game with Janeway that he's playing with Picard.
Well, I feel like it wasn't until Picard that Picard treated Q in a similar way that Janeway does. Like when you see Picard season 2, where they have the Q plot line, I feel like Picard at the beginning is very dismissive of Q, and it's like, I'm just tired of your shit, Q. And it's that sort of attitude is the way that Janeway treats him from the beginning, kind of. Oh, I heard about you. You know? Yeah.
It's the kind of, I think the thing with Q is the more you resist him, the more enthralled he becomes with you.
Ooh.
And Janeway always resisted him from the beginning. He's not going to be swayed by your charms. You're not going to bribe me. Not that Picard did those things either, but Picard played the game. Janeway didn't play his games. Just my take. You don't have to agree.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I put a little question mark on that. I'm not sure how I feel about that. So I also found this Q character very interesting because we know that Encounter at Farpoint, the studios wanted it a little bit longer. So Gene Roddenberry came and invented this Q character. And the writers were like, oh boy, this sounds very reminiscent of Trelane in the original series, the episode Squire of Gothos. And they didn't want to have this type of character in TNG. But Gene was adamant and said, trust me, the way I'll do it, the fans will love it. And my goodness, I have to agree with Gene on that. We get this wonderfulness Q character that does get to go through, as you said, the beautiful 90s era Trek and, a lot in Picard. And we love it. We love it.
I would say that Trelane was one of the TOS, I guess, quote unquote villains. Again, he was played as a trickster as well, right? So he never really seems menacing to me, as more of playful and like batting them around like playthings with the crew of the Enterprise. But TOS had sort of a hit or miss history with their villains anyway. Some of them could be very much like a twirling mustache, sort of way over the top kind of a villain. And then there's some that just are more subtle. And I feel like with the Trelane character, it is more of that gray area. And I always like that episode. That's one of the TOS episodes that I go to on rewatches. I think it's a fun episode. And again, it just feels like Q, even if he's called Trelane in this. It's like, I don't know, Trelane the Q variant. It's still, to me, Q. I don't know. That's how I look at the character.
It's funny that you should mention that, that you do feel that he is like a Q. I've just reread Q Squared, the Next Generation novel, where Trelane is a Q.
Yeah, so I've also read that book. I'm so glad you brought that up. And it's great. That's the David Mack book, right?
Yeah, I believe it is, without having to go find it.
Yeah, and how they integrate those Q characters so well. Listeners, read that book if you haven't.
It's a really good book.
Yeah. So talking about Trelane as a Q, what other Q characters have we seen in universe?
I looked at this last night, and I think that we kind of have a good mix of the Q characters without going overboard with everybody, because when you actually think about it, there's been quite a few.
There was that whole town that was populated with Qs.
Well, there you had everybody at the gas station in Voyager. You had all of the Civil War Q, and all of the various judges of Qs in different courts over the years.
And those were the Qs that we saw, like, bodied as human or human-like. But when they were at that gas station, for example, it's like, oh, that person is being the street lamp, or the scarecrow. Yeah. It's that mentality. It's like, okay, well, that's also Q. Everything you're seeing is Q. The continuum is Q.
So I like the Amanda Rogers Q, because she didn't know she was Q, and both of her parents were Q. Which, when I was doing this outline,
so was she Q
today,
Jesus?
No, her parents were Q.
I know. So is she Q Jesus? Because she's she is the same as her parents, and Jesus is supposed to be God and God
and no
the
one
Father
and Mary. That would be no.
I think Q Junior would be Q Jesus, because he was created to put an end to the Q Civil War.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that was John Delancey's son. He did such a good job.
Keegan Delancey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who is now a diplomat somewhere.
Wow.
In the I'm not even going to say the region of the world, as I'll get it wrong, but he is a part of the diplomatic team now.
Wow.
Anyway, going back, sorry.
Yeah, so I like Amanda Rogers because we get this tug of war between, can she control her powers or not? And yeah, she decides she can't, because life is too tempting when you want to help. And, are you going to pretend to not be God, but then still have the powers and not use them? No, you need to be authentic to who you are. That's what I like about Amanda Rogers.
Lady Q is my absolute favorite Q, other than Q himself.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that Susie Plaxton created such an interesting character with her, especially only one appearance. There was, and maybe it was just the actress herself. Like, I would watch her as a series lead, as a captain. And just, especially with that snarkiness, it's kind of like she had the same commanding tone as Janeway, but was a royal bitch about it.
Yeah.
And there was something I just liked about it. She was almost like the Karen Walker of Starfleet.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
Mark, do you have any other favorite Qs besides John Delancey's Q?
Oh my God, there can be only one. So yeah, I love John Delancey, obviously. And I don't. This isn't a favorite for me, but I do have to give a shout out to, I guess, Keegan did a really good job. Keegan Delancey as well. Not only did they visually look the same, but he had that sort of playful Q energy that I think is reminiscent of the Trelane character as well. So this is like the DNA of all three of them. It's just this sort of curiosity and playfulness and charm. I don't know. It was cool. I thought he did a good job too.
So, mentioning Q Jr., Trelane, and Amanda Rogers, I threw this in last night as something I wanted to segue to, because there's a contradiction with Q and the creation of Q, because Amanda Rogers was born of two Q parents.
Right.
In Q Squared, it's mentioned that Trelane is also born of two Q parents. Yet in the Q and the Gray, the creation of an infant Q life was written as being revolutionary, never done before. And that Q's son would be the Q Messiah, because no Q had ever been conceived. The Q had simply just become into existence. So there had never been a copulation that resulted in the conception of a Q before, as depicted in the Q and the Gray. But yet, in a novel and a prior episode, Q had copulated to reproduce.
Right. Okay, I've never even thought about this, but I do remember going, well, that's weird, because we've seen Qs. Like how, yeah. So, do you think that much time has passed, that there was something where they couldn't
I mean, if we're
reproduce?
looking in universe, that's the possibility that they
Yeah.
had evolved to the point of no longer needing to reproduce, but then that doesn't really explain Amanda Rogers' age and the time that she's in. I mean,
Yeah.
had she spent eons, I mean, that doesn't really add up there.
Mhm.
It's probably more of a discontinuity issue with the writers and how the Berman era wanted everything to be contained and not serialized. So it was like they don't care what happened in Next Gen with the Q. They're going to write whatever they're going to write for Voyager with the Q, is more than likely what happened.
Hmm.
Or it just didn't get brought up and it went over everybody's head. I mean, who knows? But it does
Wow.
create a giant plot hole within the Q mythos.
It really does. Yeah. Oh.
Unless the only way it could have been explained was had Janeway and Q been the ones that created Q Jr., is that no Q had ever created life with a non-member of the Q.
Right.
But that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Although let's appreciate how kinky Captain Janeway is wanting to watch Q and Q. I mean, and then her reaction, what? That was it? Like, she was disappointed.
Did they just touch fingers or something like
Yeah.
ET?
Yeah,
that's
they
what
just,
Harriet. ET is a Q in my headcanon now.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
Well, wait a minute. If ET is a Q, that means that's Mark.
Yeah,
that
maybe.
That means he was fingering Elliot through the whole movie.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, you took it there. All right. Thank you, Jeremiah. Well, this is your last time being invited on.
Oh, come on.
Hey, as you say on Cinema Z, we don't kink shame.
There's
no,
kink
we're not
shaming
here
on the
to kink
promenade.
shame.
I mean, you guys have seen the Umox video.
Yes.
Oh, I love the Umox video. Umox.
All right. So, what are some of these characteristics that the Q Continuum exhibits? Like, we see that we are told that they're all powerful and all knowing. I just have such issues with this. I don't believe in all powerful, all knowing beings. It just doesn't even make sense. And if you're all powerful, then why can you die? Like, we saw, at least in Picard, John Delancey's Q died in a time.
Died, I see.
Right. I know. But we see the other Q commit suicide.
Quinn, yes.
Yeah.
And it's also stated in that episode that the Q have executed Q throughout time. But that they're still immortal beings who cannot naturally die. They have to be killed or kill themselves.
I think that Q in Picard they don't actually say what's wrong with him. They just say that he's dying. So I think that possibly the other Q were just sick of Q and they poisoned him or like made him die.
Which tracks because, in Deja Q, he loses his powers, and they're like, I'm Corbin Burnson's Q. Love Q too. I'm sick and tired of going through the universe and having to explain, your tomfoolery. So that tracks that the Q Continuum was
pushing him out,
executing him based off of his previous encounters. Yeah.
I agree, though, Amy, that I don't buy into that they are all-knowing, all-powerful, omnipotent. I mean, omnipotence to a degree, but I think that that's their own propaganda to support their own egos. Because as a race, an entity, whatever you want to call them, they are very egotistical creatures. And I think that this is what they tell other people to lift themselves on a higher pedal, is they tout themselves around wanting to be almost worshipped as gods.
Well, and I like to look at it, we just covered Who Watches the Watchers, and how those people were not technologically advanced. That they didn't, and so they saw the Picard as a god, the Picard, and he's like, no, we just have, these advances. So I just look at it the same way that Q Continuum has these advances. They know more about time and how to control matter. So they're going to look like gods to us. So what else can Qs do? Obviously affect time. Because the entire season 2 of Picard was because of Q and affecting the timeline.
Well, they can move entire asteroid belts and stars, changing the gravitational constant.
Yes.
They can trigger supernovas.
Yes.
They can make the blind see.
They can. Jordy.
They can make Will Wheaton extremely more attractive than Will Wheaton actually.
No.
No, it's not a diss on Will Wheaton at all.
I saw the aged up Will Wheaton.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, he's not attractive to me at all. I think Will turned out cuter than that guy.
I agree. That's why it was more of a making fun of that. Like Q did not get that right at all.
No, that was like idealized beauty in the 90s.
Yeah,
that dude, and he had such he looked like just a plastic Ken doll.
Right?
Yes.
No, which is kind of weird that it was done in Star Trek like that. When it's why not find somebody that was more Will Wheaton's physical type as an older version?
Yeah,
it's never made much sense. But then, does early next gen make much sense?
Well, but I think part of the allure was I can turn you into this handsome where, your life might not get you to this ideal specimen of a man. So I think that's part of the lore of look at what my powers can do. So I think it might have been over exaggerated.
So that's what Q's idea is of a cute man.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he
has no taste in men.
No taste.
And he, knows nothing of what Klingons experience in their interplays.
Ooh. Cracked ribs.
So I found this interesting. Q has a self-proclaimed IQ of 2005. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, listeners, the average IQ is 100. So to be 2005 and like a standard deviation of 30. So if you're like over 130, oh, look at me doing a little math moment here. So if you're over 130 or if you're over 160, then you are the top 1%. So to be 2005, that doesn't even make sense. It's just a hyperbole to see, oh, look how smart I am. But I don't know. I go back and forth because that's not even a real metric if your mean and median is 100. I'll get off my math soapbox now. Yeah, Jeremiah, it looks like you're adding something like flirting with Starfleet captains. Was that your addition?
That was mine. That was mine.
Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, look at him. I mean, he clearly is into Jean-Luc. I mean,
clearly in bed with him.
In bed with him.
That's true.
Yes. Naked in bed with him. Yes. He was completely upset when Sisko decked him. Jean-Luc never hit me. It was kind of like, that's why I always kind of pictured in my mind why Q never reappeared on DS9 is because there was no flirtation back from Sisko. And so he's just like, no, I'm just going to stay away from that one. And then he meets Catherine Janeway and he's like, oh, there's something here. Tries to woo her with a red satin bed, shows up in her bathtub, wants to mate with her. I mean, just Q is very bisexual between Picard and Janeway. And he loves to flirt with the Starfleet captains. Yeah, whether he is truly interested in them or just likes the thrill of the flirt, It's I think it's interesting either way that this supposed all-powerful, all-knowing, omnipotent being is infatuated by these two humans.
I love thinking that he's fluid. I love that.
Well,
Oh
look,
my
I mean,
God.
he
Why
would have
wouldn't
to
he
be
be?
as that level of a being. There would be no social or biological construct that they would be locked into. In
Mm.
either form, either whatever combination you want to add to them, it would be absolutely nothing. Whatever. I mean, he even talked about mating with an amoeba. And Janeway was like, "Oh, I'd be out a single-celled life form, so it doesn't even matter if they're humanoid or not."
Mm.
Q's gonna fornicate with what Q's gonna fornicate with.
Mm-hmm.
And as a species that I think can even change their outward appearance, become whatever they want, even though they're not shapeshifters, I definitely think that there's absolute fluidity within them.
Mm.
All right. I would like to know your favorite Q costume and your favorite Q environment that he's created.
I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
I absolutely loved his final costume in the end credit scene of Picard when he is in Jack Crusher's quarters. I felt that it was an amazing homage and evolution to his original costume in Encounter at Farpoint. That red and black, very formal garb of the Continuum. That's not, obviously his judge's robes were unique to the Q, and what he was wearing in this particular scene was obviously an evolutionary callback to that design, and not really something we've seen any other character wore, where it was the way he flipped it open and it was this cape thing, and the revelation of this is what we started out with, and then there's the reveal of a whole different garment with it being the same garment. I thought it was fascinating and very appropriate for that character, for his flamboyance, if you will, and his everything about him. That costume fit Q perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Environment, I don't know that I have a favorite Q environment. I mean, I guess maybe the Civil War from the Q and the Gray, just because I love a good period piece. And it's fun to see our characters out of Starfleet uniforms, but not something that is campy as Sherwood Forest.
Right.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I like the period piece better. So I think that the Q's Civil War and the Continuum would be my favorite Q environment.
Okay, great. Mark, what about you?
Well, I liked, for reality's sake, I like Captain Jeremiah's answer as far as the garb. Just like that final cute outfit we see at the tease at the end of Picard. I think that, I mean, he was impeccably dressed. I love that costume. But my mind went to Q earlier on in season 2 of Picard, where midway through, where he's in like the lab coat in the 21st century, like at the hospital or whatever. it was a science center or something, whatever, the lab. I thought he looked cool in that. I don't know. Maybe it's the blue. I just thought he looked cool. I liked the costume. I was very much into that costume. And then favorite environment, I'm going to be contrarian. I don't know. Sherwood Forest was fun. And I like Vosh. I like Vosh episodes. I don't know. Everybody at the BQN is against me, but I don't know. I think that Vosh was cool. And I liked the Maid Marian storyline. I thought it was a really cool storyline.
You know who Vosh, I hate to step on you there, Mark, but you know who, it just made me think of it. You know who Vosh reminds me of? Harrison Ford's love interest in Indiana Jones.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Always. Oh, I can't remember her name. Marion, right?
Marion. It is Marion.
Yeah. Vosh always reminded me of her.
Oh, that's cool.
And I always liked Vosh. And side note, who else was jaw dropped when they read Patrick Stewart's book and found out that he had an affair with her while he was still married?
Right.
I was
I didn't know there was an affair.
Oh, yeah.
I know that they dated, but I thought it was after.
Oh, no. It was
ended his first marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm like, oh. And I mean, it was interesting, but I was a little shocked.
Yeah. So for me, I can't decide on environments because the two that are going through my mind is the very beginning of Tapestry and just the whiteness. And then here comes Q, and he's created this godlike, well, you can't be God, but it's like just this emptiness. I love that Q came at it that way. And then my second favorite environment is when he's taking Picard to the Devron system way early to the primordial ooze.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Oh, I love that one too. And he dips his hand in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I was thinking like created environments, and I considered that like they actually traveled back to primordial Earth. So that I like that.
But it's okay. Yeah. Well, right. And then talk about being campy, Mark. So I totally give you Sherwood Forest, but I love him as the mariachi band member when he gets his powers back.
How did I know you were going to say that?
I just freaking love it.
I love that too.
Trumpet, and he's just so happy, and that's how he chooses to express his joy. It just makes me smile, and it's campy as all get out. All right, guys, final thoughts on our Q Continuum. And how well developed did they develop the Andorians better or the Q? Who did it better? Jeremiah, let's start with your final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I guess I'm going to go back to the beginning and restate that I think Q is a fascinating, dynamic character that was so well developed and well played throughout his very few appearances in Star Trek, for being such a underutilized antagonist. He holds a huge impact through the franchise. I mean, we didn't get Q fatigue like we got with other foes, and I think that's something that makes him stand out quite a bit. As far as who was better developed, Q or the Andorians, man. I mean, I'm going to give credit to Enterprise where credit is due, and they really, really flushed out a species and created a backstory for them that hadn't been done before. But at the same time, the Andorians only exist between the original series and Enterprise, except for the one Andorian in Discovery. Oh, I forgot about Jin. Yeah. But I mean, there's really not been a lot of Andorians, is what I'm saying.
Well, and Anar, because we have on
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. But I think Q is the better developed, simply from the cross series exposure that the Q have had compared to the limited exposure of the Andorians.
All right. Mark, your final thoughts?
It was lovely talking about Q. Q's definitely one of my favorite antagonists in the Star Trek franchise. And if you include Trelane, it's a species that goes all the way back to the original series. But with that said, I feel like they probably haven't been as fleshed out as the Andorians have. The Andorians, we have a whole bunch of backstory, and I feel like there's so much more we still have to learn about the Q that we've only just beginning to, I guess, melt the ice on. And even in Picard, season 2, we had finally we've seen the Q and Guinan's race interacting in a more, I guess, natural way that the two species typically they don't like each other, and we get to see why, and we get to learn a little bit about some of the powers of her species. What is her species?
Elorian.
The Elorians. Yeah, and she has that bottle thing, and she's able to summon Q. I don't know. So I felt like that sort of pushed it along a little bit, but I feel like there's so much room to grow there, and I'm looking forward to hopefully exploring more of that. I'd love to see Q on Strange New Worlds, and it could be John Delancey, and he could be old, and who cares? I would love to see it. That'd make me happy.
Yeah, exploring and learning about the Q Continuum has been very fascinating. I do want to throw in one tidbit of trivia that I found, that the Q was named in honor of Janet Corton, who was the first president of the UK Star Trek fan club. And Gene Roddenberry wanted to honor her, so named it Q for her. So I know. So yeah, I really enjoy the Q. And Jeremiah, I feel the same with you, that I feel more connected to the Q, like they were developed more. But I'm wondering if it's because we've read the books and that sort of is filtered in, because I've read the trilogy and the Q squared, so
that you may not be wrong, because
yeah.
I didn't quite absorb it because I've just had some, I've had some mental blocks. Like I haven't been able to really absorb new material, but I was beginning to read Q and Law with Q and Loaxana Troy.
Right.
So yeah, I do have a lot of outside of television canon Q exposure.
Yeah. So listeners, the Q trilogy is written by Greg Cox, and then Q squared is written by David Mack. And yeah, I've read all 4 of those books. Just so good. But yeah, so I know I have that bias, I guess, coming in. So I, with you, Jeremiah, think that the Q Continuum was explored a little bit better than the Andorians.
I have one question for you, Amy. Speaking of books off the Q subject, do you ever get so engrossed in a Star Trek book that you later go back to try to find that episode and are so frustrated when you realize that it was a book that you that you completely envisioned in your mind as if you were watching it on screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because sometimes those authors capture the character and the voice and the choice of words. And I'm like, I am watching an episode in my head because it's so, yeah. The authors are really amazing that write these Star Trek books. Yeah.
In fact, I know one of them is a local KC native, Dayton Ward.
Yes.
And I love Dayton. We actually met once in person. We ran into each other at a Mavericks hockey game here in Kansas City.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I'm just talking to this guy, just being friendly, because he commented on my Starfleet hoodie I was wearing. And my buddy and I, he was like at some table, he was doing a fundraiser for the World War I Memorial here in Kansas City. And we just kind of talking, and he mentioned something about Star Trek, and I kind of just brushed it off for a minute. And he's like, no, I work in Star Trek. And I was like, and I looked at his name tag, and it says Dayton. And I'm like, Dayton, you're Dayton Ward?
Oh.
And so that was a fun connection to make here at home.
Yeah, great. What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, and Kelvin. Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. If you're lost in the Delta Quadrant, check out The Captain's Couch, a Star Trek Voyager podcast hosted by Jeremiah sitting on Janeway's Ready Room couch. Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out, hosted by Mark, Matt, and Laz. Beam Aboard the Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Amy, Joe, Rhea, and Kevin. History with the Szilagys, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissy and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissy and Thad. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Union Federation, covering all things Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Star Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Spill the Tea with What's the Tea, Bev, a Trek current events and fan interview show hosted by Christos. And for our Patreon members, we have The Hive Mind, BQN's monthly roundtable discussion with hosts and listeners. It's Green, a cornucopia of topics hosted by Mark, and Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek, hosted by Amy. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio. Well, we would love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Let us know. What's your favorite Q costume or Q environment? You can do that by joining our Facebook group, BQN Collective. You could also tweet or blue sky at All Good Pod. We are also, the entire network is on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram at BQN Podcast. We have partnered with our friends at the Fandom Podcast Network, where you can find us by searching their master feed. So we're just out there everywhere. Hope you can find us. So Mark, where can people find you when you're not creating fake environments to woo and torture your friends?
Oh, no, it's all in fun, Amy. It's all in fun. All for the yuck yucks.
Yes.
When I'm not doing that, you guys can find me on Cinema Z Pod here on the network, where we get together each week and watch some films that are our favorite films, mostly focusing on the ones that you probably haven't watched but should check out. And we have a cocktail, we reenact scenes, so that's a lot of fun. I'm also in the BQN Collective Facebook group, and I'm on Blue Sky at MW207. And Jeremiah, where can people find you when you are not cosplaying as Maid Marian in order to be rescued by the dashing Jean-Luc?
Mark, you can find me over on Twitter and Blue Sky at Captain Jeremiah. I am also on Twitter at Captain's Couch. Where else am I? TikTok, Captain Jeremiah, and Instagram as Captain74656. So, Amy, when you are not singing backup in Q's mariachi band, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me here on the network, where I'm co-hosting Union Federation. And a little tease, listeners. Next month, we're going to be starting another new live broadcast / podcast.
What?
I'm teasing it here. You're getting the DL. Keeping it on the DL. It's called The View Screen, and I will just leave that for you to think about what that means.
A little intrigued.
But I am on that Twitter place at Miss Amy Nelson. But my favorite place, BQN Collective. So check us out there. Please hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a star rating and a written review. That helps others to find the show. And you can also follow our entire networks, all of the amazing podcasts, just by finding our master feed and searching BQN.
At this time, we would like to thank our associate producers, Mahendran Radhakrishnan and Tim Cooper. A special thanks to Graham Kelly for our opening and closing music, and I do the artwork. So, yay me, each and every week.
If you'd like to help us keep all of our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. We will add you to the Hive Mind Facebook group so you can enjoy It's Green, Amy's Math Moments, and other network perks. With a monthly subscription of $5 or more, you can join our meetings on the Hive Mind Roundtable discussion on the second Saturday of each month. Visit patreon.com/BQN to get all the details and watch your messages.
Thank you for listening.
We we hope you join us again when we search out
All good things.
That tug and pull, is that right? Pull and tug? Is that how to
Tug of
Ooh,
war.
Tug and
Yeah.
tickle.
Yeah.
Okay, Amy. With that said, what the hell is the floating space head in season 1? That little, like, what is it? Like a fucking the head that's just floating there in space that's chasing the Enterprise.
In
Are you
TNG.
talking about the thing with the snakes on it?
No.
No.
Like,
in
floating
Encounter at Farpoint?
a head in space.
Is that?
Or you mean Hait and Q?
There was it like a baby's face or something? Yeah, it was like a baby's face that was like chasing the Enterprise through space. It was like one of the earlier seasons of TNG. What am I thinking of?
Are you thinking like Nagilum?
Yeah, Nagilum. There we go.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, Nagilum was
What kind of entity
worried
is that?
about death.
What is he?
He's not Q.
No, he's not even cute.
No, he's not. Mark, what are we going to be talking about next week?
Next week, I love this series. We're going to be talking about the Get Off My Ship series. We're going to be doing Prodigy's Dreamcatcher. So really looking forward to that. We haven't done Prodigy in a while, so this will be great. And remember, listeners, coming to Netflix. So if you're not subscribed already, better do so.
Christmas
Yeah,
Day,
we're-
season 1 re-premieres.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. We just wanted to, get that in your heads, listeners. Get that on Netflix.